Vichkotov Andrei Vladimirovich, January 20th, 1981. I live in the city of Orenburg, where I was mobilized.
Do you agree to the recording of the conversation? How did you get in here?
Interview?
Yes.
Yesterday I found out that there is such a possibility, that there is a person who does blogging. And for me, a blogger is someone who likes to tell the truth, if he speaks Russian. I immediately replied that I wanted to talk to him when asked about it. The question is not about smoking, I don't smoke.
Because
I want to tell the truth, I saw something and I want to tell the truth.
what do you know about the Red Cross?
It is an international organization, it has been around for a long time, and it also deals with prisoners of war.
What else does she do besides prisoners of war?
How do you say it? It's probably an oversight, it's a kind of publicity.
There's no advertising as such. They help people in need, like if there's an earthquake or something. They help out there. What do you know about what they do with prisoners of war?
They come and see the conditions. I haven't seen it, but this is how I imagine their work. They check the conditions. They monitor the conditions of prisoners of war.
And then what?
I understand that they're putting it out there for the world to see. An international organization?
Yes. The Red Cross is against bloggers communicating with POWs. And they wrote in their last report that we are violating your rights. They want to stop these interviews.
Okay, at the beginning of our conversation I uttered the phrase, relative freedom. You stopped me at that phrase, but I think the notion of Red Cross freedom is relative. That is, they depend on something. For some reason they said we shouldn't talk.
It is clear that they depend on something. Why don't they like our work?
Open honesty can be disliked just because it poses a threat to someone.
This is a clear statement. Who might be in danger from this activity?
Someone who has something to hide, who is afraid of the truth. This is in simple children's language.
See, the Red Cross operates on the principle of donations. Various amounts of money are thrown into it. They support prisoners of war and so on. And then they critically stated that bloggers, journalists communicating with prisoners of war, were violating the 13th and 14th articles of the Geneva Convention on the Treatment of Prisoners of War. I will read these articles to you. It's interesting.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
But at the same time they say that prisoners of war should only have contact with them and prisoners of war should not be shown to the public crowd, as they call it. However, they contradict themselves. We will return to that later. And they believe that prisoners of war can't be called, but they can send notes that go for 3 or 4 months and don't get where they need to go. These notes are called Red Cross messages. You do have to write the note by hand. There is a box where you have to put all the text. And in that same video, that note goes to whoever you're writing it to, so they can identify you by your handwriting. And in our concept, you make a phone call, you make a video call, you talk to your people, your wife. Yes? Why don't they like it? You already said that, but let's summarize after my comments. Why don't they like our activities?
Because it is public and uncontrollable.
Absolutely, because something that we talk about and publish, they have no control over, they can't regulate it, and, accordingly, there is someone who asks them to write these things in the reports, and we can guess who it is. Do we guess?
Yes.
Because the truth that you said about the Izvizda TV channel, of course, it will reflect badly on the Izvizda TV channel and on those who asked for it.
Yes.
Here's the reason. Are you interested in reading about it?
Are you talking about the 13th article?
Yes.
Come on.
They indicated in the report that we were in violation. I'll read you what they wrote in the report. Do you understand Ukrainian or not?
I don't understand.
The report is in Ukrainian, so I will translate it into Russian. The public interest is the interest of the audience. So, in my final visit document, it's hard to translate it all. The Red Cross says they are particularly concerned about interviews with POWs. Again, interviews with POWs are of particular concern to them, including interviews conducted by blogger Vladimir Zolkin, who is a friend of mine. And this is of particular concern to the International Red Cross. My friend and I are posting videos on the same YouTube channel. During these interviews, information is widely disseminated on YouTube and other social media. Prisoners of war can be recognized by their appearance and are also asked to give their full name and personal information. Surname, first name and patronymic are not personal information. Red Cross, read the laws of Ukraine. They think that being able to find out and identify you is a bad thing.
Disclosure of personal data.
We do not disclose personally identifiable information. Your last name, first name, middle name, place of birth, date of birth are public information. It is on your social networks if you are on social networks. The Red Cross would like to remind you that it is forbidden to show prisoners of war in the media, and this is stated in the 13th or 14th articles of the Convention. Even when a prisoner of war voluntarily makes such statements and voluntarily participates in filming, it remains illegal to publish such material. They wrote a lot there, but they wrote in Ukrainian. I'm going to translate poorly. Now read the 13th and 14th articles, because they refer to them. We will try to analyze this situation. I understand that the audience has already seen this, but here we are talking about the Red Cross. But here we have a cool situation. We have a thinking POW, and he has a higher education, which is rare. Read it out loud.
Prisoners of war must always be treated humanely. Any wrongful act or omission on the part of an invading power which results in the death of a prisoner of war in its power or seriously endangers the health of a prisoner of war is prohibited and will be regarded as a grave breach of this convention. In particular, no prisoner of war may be subjected to physical injury or to scientific or medical experimentation of any nature which is not justified by considerations of the treatment of the prisoner of war and his interests. Prisoners of war must also always be protected, in particular from any acts of violence or intimidation, insults and public curiosity. Has this been discussed? The use of reprisals against them is prohibited.
This is the 13th article, which we will discuss later. And the 14th article. I've highlighted it in bold.
In all circumstances, prisoners of war are entitled to respect for their person and honor. Women must be treated with all respect for their gender and must not be treated worse than men. Prisoners of war fully retain the civil legal capacity they had at the time of capture. The detaining power may restrict the exercise of the rights conferred by this legal capacity within or outside its territory only to the extent required by the conditions of captivity. That's it.
What do you think I'm violating in these two articles as a blogger by talking to you?
Again, I will say that I don't like this formulation. Crowd curiosity, but then again, the word crowd itself sounds strange. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but to me a crowd is.
Давайте, да.
This is the year 1949.
Okay.
This is because your homeland has not signed a fresh convention.
Crowd curiosity is something straightforward, right?
Let's get this straight. The people on the other side of the screen who will be watching this conversation on YouTube, is that a crowd?
YouTube. Данную беседу — это толпа?
I wouldn't say that.
Why?
The people and the crowd are.
No, there is a clear formulation, and we're going to get to that now. Let's try to answer the question, what is a crowd?
Ответить на вопрос, что такое толпа.
How do you understand this word? Excuse me. That is, we won't have the usual standard conversation where he was deceived, mobilized, they trained somewhere for a month, then ended up in the Donetsk region.
Его мобнули. Месяц они типа где-то потренировались, потом попали в Донецкую область.
We trained for 3 months.
We trained for 3 months, and then
Donetsk region.
Donetsk region. I don't know your story, really. In the military registration and enlistment offices and where they were trained, they were told that they would stand in the fourth echelon before the border, be on the territory of the Russian Federation and would not take direct part in hostilities. After all, 3 months later, as has already been said, they were in the area of Donetsk, and they had already taken up positions. Maybe they had already seen the dead, the wounded, and the endlessly dug trenches?
It turns out that I was there for more than 2 months and, as you say, dug trenches, went to positions, that is, it was a relatively safe and quiet life.
Yes.
During the day, 3 or 4 mines flew into the area we were in.
Not much.
And you're below ground level in the trenches, it's safe. For a civilian it may not be.
Yes, there are 2 variants of events on the last day. They were sitting at their positions, there was shelling, then the shelling stopped, our soldiers came running and took them prisoner. That's the first option. The second option is that they were sent to storm some of our positions or forest belts, they escaped, got lost, many were killed and wounded, and he was taken prisoner.
It's more like the second option.
Was it a building?
We were sent to the position in 2 5s, where a man was to meet us.
Are you lost?
We were walking along the railroad tracks, and I saw that we were walking over corpses. There were a lot of corpses. The first one I saw was literally 100 meters away from us.
How many bodies have you seen?
I think about 20. It's on the trail. I didn't turn off. I didn't look anywhere. That is, we went out on the trail at 7 in the morning and there, after 200 or 300 meters, we saw the first corpses and their belongings. There were broken weapons, radios, water and ammunition lying around, and a copter hovering above us. We were moving, the copter was leading us, and, of course, the mortar fire started. The copter is the eyes of the artillery, of the enemy.
Enemy.
And the mortar fire began, which became denser and denser. We moved along our assigned route, and at each checkpoint we were asked where we were going. The guys replied that we had to keep going. At one point the mortar fire became so intense that I turned to my superior. I said that we could all be killed by mines, so we needed to hide. Moreover, half-filled trenches appeared on our right, into which we jumped. We hid in a foxhole, but since we were still in the copter's field of view, we had to hide elsewhere, in some marmot hole, foxhole, or whatever they're called. I was lying in a trench and heard. When there is mortar fire, you can't hear everything well, you can't always focus on what's in front of you. The only thing I could see was a corpse's boots in front of me. In the trench into which I jumped, there was a corpse already covered with earth. In front of my feet I saw a hole, in which I crawled and sat in it until 7 o'clock in the evening. That is, the shelling had been going on all day, and the only thing that was changing there was either a tank or a mortar. Tank, mortar, and there were quadcopters flying all the time. The quadcopters were either surveillance or with grenades. That is, as soon as you stretch out your arm, move your leg, a projectile flies into the trench.
Were the shells flying endlessly?
Yes, if we heard one buzzing, the other one would appear immediately. If there were two of them, one would fly away, or one of them would come again to bomb us, throw grenades, and then fly away. It also happened that the sound of one quadcopter could be heard now and then very close, and then somewhere in the distance. We sat there until 7 o'clock in the evening.
5 people?
5 people, then 5 more came, and we were all there. Sometimes I heard someone shooting at these quadcopters. I didn't shoot. I think it's useless to shoot, it just declassifies you, shows you where you are.
Yes, it is.
Moreover, we never reached our positions or recognized our objective, and it began to get dark around 7 o'clock. I saw the eldest of our 5 moving in the direction from which we had come. I asked what we were going to do, since he was wounded. His leg was wounded. Of our 10 guys, 4 of them were already wounded, but wounded enough to move.
These are shrapnel wounds. Yes. There were guys crawling around the trench on all fours during the day, asking for help. There were shattered legs, arms hanging down, but there were no such severe wounds here.
That is, even through pain, but with a wounded leg they could walk. Also, when I climbed into that hole with the guys, they told me that it was already the 6th day in the hole. For 6 days there were 2 wounded, they were sitting without food and water, that is, no one brought water. I gave them what I had, canned food, my own water. I had a first aid kit, my friend had a first aid kit, and we bandaged the guys who were asking for help. The guys asked to be led into our burrow, but we explained that there was a 2-person burrow, and there were either 5 or 7 people sitting in the burrow. Everyone was shrunken, numb. We could have bandaged our wounds, but it was impossible to get there, there was just nowhere to go. When my commander said we were retreating, I asked if that was true because there were no radio commands. He answered that there was nothing to do there. We came to fortify some dugout, but that dugout is gone, because there is nothing there anymore, everything is littered, broken and filled in. I also wanted to come back from the hell I had spent 12 hours in, and then the commander says we're leaving. Accordingly, I took my things, took his things, because it was difficult for a wounded man to move around. We went back to where we were originally brought to conduct offensive operations from there. It turns out we had not reached that place. There were several of our dugouts and roadblocks, that is, in one of the dugouts we were asked where we were going. We answered. We were told that there was no order. I replied that the leader of the group was coming, and we were following him. They asked for permission over the radio. They wouldn't let us in, told us to go back. Then we tried to explain over the radio that we had a lot of wounded. The wounded need help that we can't give. They gave permission to move on, but only to the wounded. I asked what I should do. My commanders are leaving wounded.
Yes. How many wounded out of 10 people?
Look, there were 10 of us, 8 or 7 were walking back, there were 4 wounded.
Where have the others gone?
It was night, mortar fire, we went under fire, came out under fire. There were 2 men next to me. One person from the group was lost. We hadn't seen each other since the morning.
I see.
That is, we were all scattered, and it turned out that I was without a combat assignment. I wasn't given one, I didn't get a combat assignment. And I didn't know if I needed to go somewhere and reinforce what I had been told before. I was left in the firing zone without commanders, and the commanders were withdrawn. There was another comrade from my group of 5. I suggested that he go to where we were sitting, and he said he didn't have the strength. I'm saying we were walking now, and in fact it's you taking a few steps, you hear a mine, you fall completely on your stomach, and there's an explosion. A grenade falls close or far away, you wait, the shrapnel scatters, you get up in armor, with all your ammunition. That is, you need a lot of strength, but a man has no strength. He said he would sit near the position we weren't allowed behind, that he didn't have the strength to go back. I said I would go because if a quadcopter comes and sees you, he'll just throw grenades, VOGs, and that's it. I went back to my position, almost reached my trench, but did not reach my dugout. I heard the mine coming in again, and I walked about the same way as I explained, that is, you take 5 steps, 10 steps, shell comes in, you fall down, get up. At some point I took my backpack off. I had a backpack, it had a BC in it, water in it, which I gave to the guys, and I couldn't carry the backpack anymore. I jumped into my foxhole, and somewhere very close was a mound. There was a railroad embankment, a mine hit it, I had a flash in my head, I could hear the ground covering me. There was a ringing sound in my head.
Concussion.
Yes, a punch to the nose, like being hit hard with such a boxing glove, but it was just a punch of air. A flash, though I could see it through my closed eyes and lay under the mound of earth. There was a feeling that you no longer wanted to get out, you had no strength to get out, because all day long you were ducking somewhere, jumping, falling down, and that was it, no strength. And the last time we drank water was in the morning when the guys treated us to water. I'm lying there, covered in earth, and I realize that I probably won't move for the next 2 hours, I'll just rest. At this point, I feel that I am starting to get help to get out. I realize that I am somewhere near my dugout. I thought, either the guys came out of the dugout, or someone next to me is going the same way, because there are a lot of guys like me and the wounded. I saw wounded people just sitting around. There were many wounded on my route, I saw people, they were not far away. They help me get out, hurry me up and pull me along. I get out, they tell me to hand over my gun, but it clings to something. I sit down, dizzy. When mines or shells fell into the embankment, I think it was a mine, then the pillar fell. The pillar fell on me, on my side. I mean, I had a bulletproof vest there. I still haven't been diagnosed, but I suspect that my ribs are broken.
It happens.
Your guys have already pulled me out from under a pillar from under this earth. That is, they either walked later, I don't know how much time has passed, or they were somewhere and saw me. I didn't know that the moment I sat down, when they poured water and gave me a drink there, I look up and they say to me, "Well, have you fought enough?" And now my hands would be tied because I was a prisoner of war.
What did you feel?
And the feeling was. That feeling definitely wasn't fear, it was, how to say. How to say it. That was the end of my troubles for that day. That is, on this day, as if to say, there will be no more of these arrivals, my tossing and turning, when it is not clear what to do next. I had a feeling of some kind of an endpoint, that was it for the day, I exhaled and that was it. It was such a feeling, and as your guys later explained, they saw from the quadcopter how I was walking, how the guy was following me. The guy who was following me was also taken prisoner. So they let us go. While I was taking my commanders out, leaving and coming back, they took up these positions. They saw us coming up. One guy said he didn't know why he didn't shoot me. He saw me coming, said he basically let me get closer. Then there was the arrival of a projectile, and then he got me, that is, he could shoot at me, he had many chances to shoot. He didn't shoot and doesn't even know why he didn't shoot. They dug me up, got me drunk, disarmed me and everything, and brought me to them.
Further, it is not interesting.
I was in combat for only 1 day.
It's not interesting any further.
Yes.
We deviated from the topic, but ended the cycle, because in our interviews there is always the last day of the occupier as part of the occupying forces. I thought it would be faster, but plus or minus the story is almost classic. As far as I understand, there were many killed and wounded.
There were many wounded, that is, I saw them for sure more than whole guys. They did not lie on the ground, but crawled, asking for help. The situation is this, if in a nutshell, then the corpses lie, yes. I saw 15 or 20 corpses, including one that had been lying next to me all day. Boys with wounds, who are 6 or 4 days old, run around the trenches, no one takes them away, they just hide.
As far as I understand, people like you are just sent there all the time.
I understand that, yes. That is.
Can we say that this is the destruction and utilization of manpower?
Yes.
Question.
Yes.